Good morning, everyone. My name is Mohammed Ali. I am a co-founder of Cyberways. Today, I have a special guest, Mr. Sameh Sabry. He is a cybersecurity expert and having a vast experience in this industry. Sameh, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
And it's been a long and it's a pleasure to have you in our podcast.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. So the question and ransomware, it's whenever it comes into my mind about ransomware and your name comes because you have a vast knowledge about ransomware. So tell our audience what is ransomware and what are ransomware attacks, and then we will discuss further.
Yeah, it's the worst thing that could ever happen to anybody, and unfortunately, we keep seeing more and more of those. Essentially, it's where people lose their data, lose their backups, lose their access. In many cases, there are lives lost with that as well. So whenever ransomware hits a hospital, the patient pays the bill. Whenever ransomware hits a technology company or an infrastructure, humans pay the bill. So it's really no longer an IT problem. It's no longer just a technology problem or a cybersecurity problem. It's a people problem. It's a business problem.
Yes.
It's touching me and you and everybody you see.
Yes.
In a nutshell, they lock you down, they ask for a ransom. And they have been very creative on how they do that. In the past, they used to just encrypt or lock down files. Now they take a copy of those files and do double, triple extortions, public pressure, family pressure, personal pressure. Yeah, it's the worst nightmare anybody could have.
But also, and do you think that till now that ransomware attack is the number one cyber threat currently in the world at the moment?
Absolutely, and the numbers don't lie. And I think in 2023 we used to see 2 ransomware victims per second. 2024 that number jumped to 19. Now some people could say it's a little bit lower, a little bit higher, but the idea is it keeps on growing, which tells us that whatever we're doing or whatever we used to do is no longer enough.
Yes.
It's no longer enough. Relying on hope is not a strategy. Relying on, I might have a backup is not a strategy. Relying on, doing the same thing again and again and again is not going to be a fix to the problem. You and I speak about this all the time, right?
Yes,
we need to
time.
Change things.
Every time.
Otherwise,
yes.
We shouldn't expect different results.
And also, one more question came to my mind as you rightly explained about what is ransomware. Those days were gone where organizations now focusing towards how resilient they are, because when there is a cyber attack, at the same time, is how resilient the operation should not be disturbed and the business continuity and all those things. So what do you think, what are the ways when in case of ransomware attack happened, do you think what are the remediation and recommendation in your perspective to be a resilient cybersecurity posture?
Well, first of all, let's define resilience. For many people, resilience is mean like I'm immune. I am perfectly fine. I'm bulletproof. That's not the definition of resilience.
Yes.
The definition of resilience, in my humble opinion, is being hit, but being able to stand on your feet. Is like to stay resilient. You know what I mean? Like you're being hit, you're being targeted, you're getting punched.
Yes.
But you're still standing on your feet. So. Prevention being 100% all the time is unachievable. We should all know that. We obviously need to build a defense layered approach, use a lot of automation, a lot of orchestration, use the proper human element. And the human element is a big word, but I mean that from teaching people what is ransomware, as well as training our own guys, our own blue teamers, our own defenders on what ransomware looks like, because every customer that I speak with does not necessarily know what ransomware really is. And if they know it, and they know it well, they might not have enough hands-on experience. They might have not been really exposed, which is a good thing, but it also tells me they're not ready for a ransomware attack. As well as relying on proper strategy to back up, to recover, as well as there are modern technologies today that helps you with faster recovery. And obviously we can talk more about this.
And when, of course, you explained about the remediation and recovery, but in your opinion and your experience, because you have been handled so many cases like that, what recommendation you will give to the CISOs today, and in terms of prevention and the strategy, and also if there is a ransomware attack, what they're gonna do. I mean, in terms of prevention, and once the attack happened, for remediation.
So the first thing I would recommend is not to treat ransomware just as another type of a virus or another type of a malicious code, because it's not. It's an integrated end-to-end ecosystem. They really made it simple for anybody to become an attacker. They really made it's an economy.
Yes.
You want to see it as an economy. And they've been very profitable. They've been very, very scalable. The days of I need to be tech savvy to do something as bad are gone. Right now, you can rent tools, you can rent infrastructures, you can hire a ransom negotiator, you could hire somebody to clean your money, you could hire somebody to change or exchange your cryptocurrencies into, dollars, dirhams, reals, whatever the currency that you use. So when you treat it as an economy, it's different than you treat it as a malicious file or as a virus. These days are gone. So first, you should understand that this is no longer just another type of malware. No, you're facing a very well-organized end-to-end ecosystem. That's number one. Number two, you should try as a CISO, bridge the gap with your higher management. Often we have a problem of explaining technical things to top management, right?
Yes, always. We face that.
That's a common problem.
That's a common.
So I would always recommend is to translate the downside of a ransomware. So my question to my top management would be, how much would we lose if we stop production for one day? What are the losses per minute, per hour, per day, per week? How many patients can we not see in a clinic? And obviously there is the human element, the empathy, the support, and looking after the community. That's an angle. But from a technology perspective, what is the downside? And if I could calculate that into a dollar value or a dirham value, that's also very important.
Yes.
If you're offline for a month, can you survive?
Yes, business loss, yes.
Can you survive for 2 months? On average, we see between 3 to 4 weeks of downtime, I want to say in a mature organization. Can you live for 3 or 4 weeks being offline? What happens?
Coming back to that, do you still think that when there is in your opinion, and what you are telling me, the recommendation, remediation, so when there's a ransomware attack, are there still ways for the recovery at the same time? Because once the organization under attack, so how quickly they can recover, and what are those ways?
Well, if you were prepared for that from day one, then yes, obviously. If you were well prepared to face a ransomware, and if you're really not building your strategy based on hope, because hope is not a strategy, right? So if you have the right teams, the right tools, the right understanding, if you're leading with prevention, if you're leading with a defense in depth approach, if you are addressing ransomware as a standalone problem and therefore you have a standalone solution looking at ransomware while believing that recovery might be needed, but I should be aiming for rapid recovery. A lot of us are relying on backups.
Yes.
Which the problem in ransomware, especially modern ransomware groups, they go after the backups before they go to the traditional systems. Because they know if you have a backup, you'll probably not pay.
Yes.
This is also why they started exfiltrating data. Initially, they didn't do that, but then it's all about money. So as a threat actor, if I have a clean copy of Muhammad Ali's data, and if I destroy your backups, and whatever you have left inside is encrypted, there's a solid chance that you will pay. But if you have your backups, and I was not able to steal the information, you might tolerate being offline. Some people cannot be offline. If your business rely on being online, being offline for a minute is a problem. For a day is a big problem.
Yes.
For a month, you're probably out of business.
Out of business, yes.
So if I know that from day one, and I'm building my strategy on the right endpoint security defense, that is really, really important. Obviously, the things around it is as important, but whatever the data is, whatever the media to get into that data is protected, I would want to use a lot of the great automated technologies that we have, AI. I would want to use as many automations as much as possible. We're keeping a man in the loop to orchestrate many of these events. I want to have a defense in-depth approach. I want to assume that I might be getting breached. What do I do next? How can I stop the damage? So it is one thing to be compromised, and it's another thing to be completely breached.
So as you explained about the traditional backup system is not enough, and you rectified that in a use case. So tell me what is about when you talk about ransomware, and you mentioned that about extortion and double extortion. What is this about, and how these attackers manipulate?
I just want to get paid as a threat actor.
Okay.
As a threat actor, I want to get paid. How do I do that? In the past, they used to lock files. But then they realized that I'm just making some money. I could make more. And I could add more pressure. In many countries around the world, there are laws that become immediately applicable if the data were stolen. So to put more pressure on you, not you, Muhammad Ali, but on the end user.
Don't put much pressure. It's already too much, yes.
To put pressure on you, I'm going to tell you, by the way, I have a copy of all of your data. And the triple extortion comes in if I start reaching out to the people that their data was exfiltrated or stolen. Hey,
yes,
I know that your data was there and I have a copy of it. So that
with that data, we can have the associated people, and then the triple extortion will come.
Correct. So it's all about pressure to lead to the end result of you paying the ransom. So the days of just looking some files, pay me, buy, these are gone. In fact, we believe that when you see the encryption, that's the very end of the attack, not the beginning of the attack. When you see the encryption, when you see that note on your desktop or on one of your folders, that's the very end of it. Back in the days, that used to be the second or the third step. Right now, it's possibly the very last step if it happens. We've seen some ransomware campaigns where threat actors were happy just exfiltrating data and leaving a note, pay us X, otherwise we expose your data and sell it to the highest bidder.
So let's say organization and the industries, for them to start, okay, as you mentioned about defense in depth, you need to have proper endpoint solution, etc. In the limited resources, if they want to prevent ransomware attack, what strategy you will recommend and the best practice 1, 2, 3, 4, so they can start from somewhere and having those controls?
I would obviously encourage people to partner with the right expertise and to hire the right experts. If that wasn't possible, then partner with companies like yourself and other players in the market that know what ransomware is, that are capable with the right technology and the right people. We believe it's both, that are capable of preventing and recovery. These two should work hand in hand. When it comes to ransomware, nothing is bulletproof.
Yeah,
we go back to resiliency. How can I get a hit and get back on my feet within minutes, hours, not weeks, not months, as we see in our day-to-day life?
Yes.
So the suggestion is build this capability in-house. It's tough. If you can't, and if it's costly, partner with a company that can help you do that. If it's too costly, then find a player who is willing to crawl, walk, and run with you, and a player that understands that it's a defense in depth approach. You need a dedicated layer for ransomware. An all-in-one solution is not going to be enough. It's the people and the technology together, and then obviously understand that prevention is needed as well as rapid recovery. Both are essential, then they both work hand in hand. Last but not least, brief your board, brief your executives, brief your top players. Make them aware. Obviously, we can go deeper and deeper and do tabletop exercises, red teaming, simulations. There are many good things to do. You and I always speak about working out, and not that I do it well, but I learned that resilience is just like a muscle. If you don't train it enough, if you don't exercise it enough, it will fail you when you need it the most.
Great. And when you talk about ransomware and all those scenarios you explained, in your opinion and your experience, is any use case or any incident you want to share with the people, that how you worked on that as a ransomware attack happened and you have been a part and you utilize your expertise? Anything you can mention, any kind of ransomware attack you can mention, what kind of ransomware attack you have. So any use case or any scenario, if you can explain in a simple way, so that will be really advisable.
So in many cases, people assume that you will open up an email and you will find a link saying, win a trip to Las Vegas. Well, it doesn't necessarily need to happen this way. We've seen some of the attacks where it starts with a phone call.
Yes.
We've seen some attacks where it starts with a phone call, a direct phone call. Hey, Muhammad Ali, I know that you're not getting paid well. Can you help me install this application? It's a clean application. It's a legitimate application. And I'm going to connect remotely to do A, B, C, and D. And fast forward, everything starts falling down. So while we are building many layers and layers on the outside, we're not looking at the inside. And that could be a good starting point for threat actors.
Yes.
We see threat actors today using vulnerable drivers, whether they are introducing them to the environment or abusing a pre-existing vulnerable driver. You should have a technology and you should have the awareness. I was like, okay, this is how attacks work. I go back to, it's not a traditional malware because this is the perception in the market. No, it's an entire attack chain from initial access to remote access to privilege escalation to environment enumeration. So in simple terms, get your foot in the door, understand where the data is, take a clean copy out, encrypt whatever you have inside. Initially, if you want to do this faster as a threat actor, and these guys are after the money and they want to do it fast, they try to unload or sideload or unhook the available endpoint security software. So make sure that you have a secondary layer to that. If the first one fails, the second one kicks in and saves the day. And obviously, I keep going back to translating this to your management with simple terms. What would we lose if we're offline? How much money would we lose if we're a factory, if we stop producing cars, if we stop producing drinks, if we stop producing food for a day or two or a week or two or three? Because on average, people take a month or more. Can we live for a month or more being offline?
That's great. And what do you see in coming future? I mean, we discuss about ransomware and everything, recovery, prevention, and the scenarios also. But do you think that organizations is moving towards the right step and they have all those kind of controls and prevention they are making? Is it something you see 2026, let's say, coming year? Do you think the ransomware attacks will be still in the top 10 or top?
Absolutely. I don't see them slowing down. It's a very scalable and profitable business.
And with AI,
absolutely.
advanced.
You and I spoke about this earlier. We've seen some smaller groups coming now. One of them was actually, I think, one standalone person who were able to use artificial intelligence to creating an end-to-end attack scenarios and target many different victims in a very short period of time. So no, I honestly, I don't see any signs of slowing down. People will always be looking for money. Yes. It's a very profitable business, very scalable business. And you don't need to be tech guru to get into that business because you can rent things. There are platform providers. You can rent tools.
Yes.
You can rent infrastructures. And it's not that even expensive. You can start small.
Yes.
There are affiliation programs. Join us today and get X and Y.
Yes.
There are ransom negotiators, cryptocurrency exchange. It's an ecosystem.
Yeah.
In 2023, there were numbers floating in research around making more than $1 billion in profit with a very low cost of goods. Why would they stop that? They're after the money, and humans are greedy, I think. So they never stop.
That's really wisely said. And thank you so much for
Thank
your time.
you.
It's been a pleasure. And any message you want to give in the end to the audience and the CISOs? Anything about in your valuable suggestion, by the way. This can be anything.
Honestly speaking, just be aware that you could be the next target. And I'm not saying this to scare people off, but it's the reality. In the past, people thought, I need to be big enough or rich enough, or like a Fortune 50, Fortune 100, Fortune what? No. Small, medium, large, Uncle Bob's shop, supermarket, everybody's a target. If you can build a resilient system from day one, aim to take baby steps.
That's a very good step. You mentioned about that everyone is a target, because some smaller organizations, they think that we are not a target.
That's not true. Everybody is a target. Everybody is a target. I think there was a report from last year or the year before, please don't quote me on this one, where we saw almost half major big enterprises and half small and medium companies being hit. So it's no longer just, a flashy big name target.
Yeah,
it's anybody and everybody.
Yes.
So start small, that's fine. Take some baby steps. Partner with the right companies, with the right vendors, with the right system integrators. A defense in depth approach is highly needed. And remember, a single solution cannot cover everything end to end. That is not scalable.
That's I absolutely agree, and it's been always a fun
Thank
to
you.
have you, and it's been really a pleasure.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for these comments. It will be really helpful for everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.